Hi guys, I'm Captain Ez, and welcome to Surviving with Redstone, episode 4. Today we're going to be looking at tripwires and interesting things you can do with those. Alrighty, so let's get started. So, before we get started with tripwires, I'm going to quickly show you guys how that you can use them, so you understand, just in case people don't understand what they are and how they use them. Or something like that. Anyway, so I'm going to be doing some mechanics with traps again, but this time, it's not going to be all about the traps, but just the mechanisms behind them, if that makes sense. Just see if you can follow along. Anyway, so the first one we're going to do is just show you how tripwires work. So the tripwire hooks, as you can see there, the tripwire hook, you got to have on 2 blocks and then string laid on the ground, running between them. Now as you can see with this texture pack, it's kind of hard to see it. So I'm going to replace this with glass. So actually grass, not glass. So you can actually see the tripwire. In the normal one, you can actually kind of see it quite well, but just because of the OCD texture pack, it's a bit hard to see. So there we go. As you can see, these hooks are now extended and pushed down. So if we put a piston on top of this block here, when you walk over it, redstone current is emitted. So it emits from any of these points here. In fact, as you can see, they're all getting power. Pretty simple. So you can also have them hang in the air. So we can just get rid of all this sort of stuff. Now, you can't place string in the air, so, you know, like so. So what you can do is you can actually just stack it on top of itself. So if we just stack it up, you can see here, we've got the box around it. So we actually have it floating in the air. So you can get rid of this here. And you can see it there. So we're just going to extend it across. Like so. And we can also extend it on the other side like this. And hear the click. Put a piston here. So when you walk over it, you don't get hit, but if you jump, it pushes down. Pretty simple. So it's pretty simple. Now, oh, sorry, gotta do one last thing. One thing you can do with this is it is triggered by other things. So it's not just triggered by the player, it can be triggered by mobs, or in fact, villagers, or anything that walks around, or a boat, or a minecart even. So that's kind of helpful. Let's just kind of get rid of this guy. So typically you'll have it in some sort of doorway. So if we just build a quick doorway here. That's a horrible architecture. So if we put a doorway here, you'll generally want to put it right in behind the door. So if we put it right here, for instance, hiding these hooks and rope between them, and they're walking through, they're not going to really see it. So you can get them that way by having maybe some TNT or maybe a piston trap of some form around here. But that's all up to you. We're just looking at tripwires themselves today. So now, one thing about them, that you can actually get rid of them with shears. Yeah. Sorry, I am using the Australian language pack, where it says Bruce and shears and things like that. So, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway. So, with these tripwires, if I can just put a piston in here, when you walk over it, the piston fires. When you break it, the piston fires. But if you use shears, it doesn't work. It doesn't fire. Now, that's part of the kit, so you can actually just do it. So, you've got to be careful of that, so people can just break it. So, if they do see it, they'll break it. Now, how can we fool people to make them want to break it? So, that's the first thing we're going to do. So if we just build a little bit of an extension of the wall out here, and extend this piston, so this tripwire line all along here, like so, get rid of that one, and we make a little cage, like so, just simple little cage, like that. It doesn't have to be out of iron bars, it just has to be something to hold the mob in. I'm going to use villagers, but you can also use boats or cows, anything that doesn't despawn. So if we just drop him in here, he's automatically firing this line. So if you have some redstone, it's lit. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a torch in there, and it's off. So if we have this going to a trap or something, we're just going to have this to a piston where we can see it activating. Like so. So when we walk over it, nothing happens. That's because the system is inverted, and he's already on it. However, if we break it, it fires. And also, if we use shears, it will also work. Now that's because no redstone current is getting emitted from this, so this is going to turn this torch back on, run it down, and turn it on. So it's a very basic system, so you're actually kind of making people want to break it, instead of not breaking it. So people that don't notice the tripwire, they'll just walk right over it, but those who break it or use shears will cause them to be falling in the trap. So that's kind of handy as well. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is going to kind of have a little bit interesting, but also kind of useful-ish, depending on how you use it and who you use it on. Some people will notice it, some people won't. So, what we're going to do is a simple corridor. We're just going to make it 3 high, like so. And put a roof. And there we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a little pit. Like, oh, a torch down there. I don't remember that being there, but anyway, must have been a past experiment. So, we're going to kind of make people kind of fall into the trap. So if we have the hooks up above, now you can't have them right next to each other like this. They need to be one more block apart, so I'm just going to break through here and add a little bit of a lip and add them in here. Like thus. So if this was a dark corridor, for instance, and they had to jump along, actually we're going to set this one back as well. Like this. There. So this is a dark corridor, for instance, so it wasn't lit at all. We can actually do that. Like that, and kind of just block off the light a bit. So if you can't really, if you see this gap, they're going to want to try to jump over it. And they're not going to be necessarily looking up. So what you can do is you can cause them to actually hit this tripwire. Now, as you can see, there's an issue. Now, what the issue is that these hooks are over blocks, and some of the wire is over air. Now you can't have that. It has to be all of just one. So what you're going to do is you're going to fix this, like so. So either it has to be fully hovering or fully on blocks. It can't be a bit of both. Now I'm hoping Mojang does fix that, but they may not. So anyway, back into this. So if it's a dark room and they try to jump into this hole, they're not necessarily going to look up. So you're going to have them hidden in the roof, so when they jump, they trigger a trap. Pretty simple stuff. I really do like tripwires because they're kind of handy like that. Anyway, those are the 2 little tricks that you can use to kind of trick people into kind of falling into a trap instead of when they think they're kind of evading it. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, have a nice night.